Unveiling Esau's Forgotten Wife, a miraculous tale of divine redemption and Rebekah's heartbreak. In the 3rd year of Jehoiakim, a shadow fell upon the tent of Isaac and Rebekah in Canaan. As Rebekah stood at the entrance, sunlight poured over the rolling hills, casting a warm glow that belied the turmoil stirring in her heart. The gentle wind whispered of calamity, the air thickening with the impending strife brewing between her sons, Esau and Jacob. Rebekah's heartbeat quickened. She felt the weight of a prophecy hanging in the balance, one that promised that the elder would serve the younger. These words urged her to hope, yet despair coiled around her soul like a serpent. Isaac and Rebekah had prayed fervently for children, and the Lord had granted them twins, 2 boys stitched together in their mother's womb, destined for greatness. But the choices of her firstborn, Esau, pierced her very soul, especially since the day he presented Judith, a Hittite woman, before their family. That day, dreams of unity and fidelity to God flickered like a dying flame. Judith was not merely a foreigner, she was a vessel of discord, introducing the worship of strange gods into their home. With every visit, her heart sank deeper, fear gnawing at her as Esau revealed he had taken Basemath, another Hittite, to be his wife. Rebekah turned her gaze downward, feeling the earth shift beneath her. Isaac's quiet sorrow mirrored her own, words unspoken, but hearts heavy. Jacob, who loved the God of his father, suffered beneath the neglect, as if lost in the shadows of his brother's escalating actions. Rebekah had witnessed the promises bestowed upon Jacob, blessings she had nurtured in her prayers. Yet with every Hittite bride Esau brought into their household, she felt the rift grow. Before we continue with this incredible biblical account, I want to make sure you don't miss any of these powerful scripture stories. Click the bell icon and select all notifications. These biblical narratives have transformed countless lives throughout history. If God's word through this story is blessing you, please like and share with someone who needs to hear about God's faithfulness today. Tell me in the comments, which biblical story has most impacted your faith journey? I'm always amazed how God's word speaks to hearts across generations. Now let's continue with what the Lord did next. In the stillness of prayer, Rebekah sought refuge from her anguish. It was in those sacred moments that God revealed Judith's heart to her, not as an adversary, but as a potential instrument of his divine design. Rebekah began to sense a shifting tide. She witnessed subtle changes in Judith, whose spirit began to stir towards the God of Jacob. Rebekah's prayers of despair transformed, giving way to hopes of redemption blossoming in the unlikeliest of souls. With each passing day, as she lifted her cries before the heavens, a flicker of hope ignited within her. Would Judith's newfound faith bridge the chasm between her boys? Would the path once hewn with bitterness yield to one paved with reconciliation? Yet, as shadows conspired and days stretched long, Rebekah felt the burden weigh heavily on her heart. As night fell over the hills, she stood once more at the entrance of her tent, torn between gratitude and woe, longing for the day when her family would be restored. Could the cords of strife be severed, or would their fates remain inextricably bound to the sorrows of this world? The answer lay just beyond her grasp, as if hidden in the folds of divine revelation, waiting for the right moment to illuminate their lives with the promise of peace. As the sun began to rise, casting a golden hue across the land, Rebekah felt the strain of the night linger in her bones. She looked out over the hills, where the dawn met the shadows, and a sense of urgency reverberated within her heart. The distress over her family's discord urged her to seek the Lord once more, as her spirit-fueled desperation wrapped in faith. In the garden beside the tent, she knelt upon the dusty earth, lifting her hands heavenward. The cries of her heart echoed the words of the ancients, "O Lord, I beseech thee, grant mercy to my house, restore the bonds of kinship, and may thy will be fulfilled in our lives." As her supplication rose like incense, memories of the past whispered truths into her soul, a time when her sons played beneath these very skies, innocent and united. In the stillness that followed her prayer, the wind carried a faint whisper to her, a gentle voice she had not heard in seasons. "Rebekah," it breathed, soft yet profound. She closed her eyes, feeling God's presence envelop her as if an embrace from heaven itself. "Great things I have planned for you," the voice resonated through the depths of her being. Judith, though a Hittite, shall be an agent of my purpose. Trust in the threads I weave, for redemption is not bound by lineage, but by belief. The morning sun peeked through the thick foliage, and as the light illuminated her surroundings, Rebekah felt a warmth settle over her. Hope surged, igniting a sacred resolve within her. She heard footsteps approaching and, turning to see Jacob enter, a smile illuminated his face, yet shadows of concern remained etched upon his brow. "Mother," he gently inquired, "what stirs within you? I sense a change." Rebekah, heart buoyed by divine revelation, beckoned him closer. "There is more to your brother's actions than meets the eye. We may not yet understand the workings of our God, but I have come to believe that Judith may bear a fruit we have yet to see." Jacob furrowed his brow, hesitant. "But mother, can a heart so entrenched in foreign worship ever turn towards our God?" "Indeed, my son," she replied with unwavering faith, "for if our God parted the sea and made a way where there was none, how much more can he draw a heart unto himself?" In that moment, a flicker of understanding passed between them, a sacred bond forged through hope and divine promise. Yet still, doubts loomed at the edges of Jacob's heart. "What must we do?" Rebekah's gaze grew resolute, inspired by the vision that ignited her prayer life. "We shall reach out, inviting Judith to share in our blessings, and when we gather for the feast, we shall pray unto the Lord together. We shall call upon him to work in our midst." Their plans set forth, Rebekah moved to prepare the evening meal, mindful of the Lord's hand upon her family's life. Meanwhile, Jacob stepped outside, contemplating the journey ahead. Would this path lead to reconciliation, or deeper strife? As dusk began to fall and the stars graced the night sky, Rebekah felt the stirrings of anticipation. Would they witness the divine work that had been promised? As the night air grew still, a new resolve washed over her, leading her to believe that the tapestry of their lives was only beginning to unfold. And thus, as the evening approached, with hearts lifted in prayer and anticipation, the reality of tomorrow lingered on the horizon. The stage was set, and a hidden purpose loomed. What transformation awaited them? Only the unfolding of God as sovereign will would reveal the ultimate plan for their family. As the sun sank low in the sky, casting long shadows across the earth, Rebekah gathered her sons and Judith in the spacious tent, the air thick with the aroma of roasted lamb and freshly baked bread. Her heart thumped with anticipation and prayerful reflection. Would this be the moment when discord would yield to harmony? Jacob and Esau entered together, the tension between them palpable. Rebekah caught Esau's eye and offered a gentle smile, while Jacob stood tall, his hands clenched at his sides. They were brothers, and yet the wounds of competition and deceit lay bare before them. "Sit, my sons," Rebekah beckoned. "And bring Judith, that we may bless this food together." The fabric of the tent rippled softly in the evening breeze, as though creation itself awaited the unfolding of God's purpose. Judith, her dark hair cascading down her shoulder, looked uncertain but followed obediently. Rebekah felt a twinge of compassion for her, the Hittite who had left her people in search of a new family and perhaps a new faith. As they sat around the meal, Rebekah raised her hands, just as she had earlier in the garden. "O Lord God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, we come to you in gratitude. Grant us peace within our hearts, wisdom in our conversations, and unity in our spirits. Let us remember the moments of joy that we have shared, let the bonds of our family be strengthened tonight." As her words ascended, there was a stillness among them, laden with expectation. After the prayer, Esau broke the silence. "Judith, how do you fare in this land? We do not speak often, and I wish to know your heart." Judith hesitated, and then spoke, her voice trembling yet resilient. "I am learning your ways, and I see the commitment you all have to your God. I, too, desire to know him. Something in my heart draws me toward this way. The stories shared around the fire of deliverance and promise enlighten my soul." Esau nodded, reflecting on her words. "You speak of a longing I once shared. There was a time when I, too, desired to know deeper truths, before pride led me astray." His eyes flickered toward Jacob, laden with a hidden sorrow. Jacob's heart stirred at Esau's honesty, and the very atmosphere of the tent seemed to shift. Then perhaps it is time, brother, for us to recall the path that drew us apart. Let us mend what the darkness has torn asunder. Rebekah watched in awe, her spirit soaring with hope. The burdens of their past began to dissipate amidst the gathering of hearts. Could the Lord be working a miracle before her very eyes? As the evening unfolded, the brothers spoke of shared memories of hunts and games that once brought them joy. Judith, intrigued, listened closely, her eyes brightening as she, too, felt the threads of kinship weave anew. Yet, as laughter echoed in the tent, the door of fate swung wide. A messenger from the wilderness approached, breathless. Esau, Jacob. He called, his face drawn with urgency. There are reports of peril and impending conflict with a band of raiders, and they approach swiftly. The laughter ceased. Concern knitted their brows, and silence loomed heavy in the air. Rebekah's heart raced, pulsing with the weight of the moment. Had their moment of reconciliation been overshadowed by impending danger? Esau's features turned fierce with protection, yet Rebekah saw hesitation in Jacob's eyes. This conflict threatened not only their lives but the fragile threads of peace they had begun to weave. Gather your strength, Rebekah urged, resolute and filled with divine purpose. This is our hour. Trust in the Lord, for He is a fortress for the struggling. With that declaration, a profound sense of destiny enveloped them. What awaited them beyond the horizon was mere peril, but within the tapestry of their lives, God's sovereign plan was unfolding before their very eyes. And beneath the gathering storm, a lingering question emerged in Rebekah's heart: was it possible that in the midst of looming conflict, the Lord sought to bring forth a legacy greater than they could yet imagine? As the shadows deepened and the air grew thick with tension, Esau arose, his stature commanding, and he clutched the hilt of his sword. Let us prepare, for I will not allow our family to fall into the hands of raiders. We shall fight together, as brothers. His voice, fierce and unwavering, stirred courage in the hearts of those present. Jacob stood, uncertainty gripping him. But what if this conflict is not merely a battle for survival? What if it is a test of our very souls? We must seek God's guidance. He knows the paths we should take. Rebekah observed her sons, torn between the valor of Esau and the wisdom of Jacob. In the midst of her turmoil, the words she uttered in prayer moments ago echoed within her: let us remember the moments of joy that we have shared. She offered a gentle smile toward Judith, who sat wide-eyed, absorbing the weight of the dire situation. Please, listen. Judith interjected, her voice trembling with newfound resolve. I have heard of the God of Abraham and Isaac. Let us seek Him together. He has delivered our forefathers from troubles, and He can do so now. The tension in the tent danced like flames, ignited by hope and fear intertwined. Indeed, Rebekah said, sensing the Lord drawing nearer. Let us gather our hearts in prayer, for it is not by our strength that we prevail, but by His might. As they knelt together in a circle, the air cracked with reverent anticipation. Rebekah led them in a prayer that pierced the stillness, beseeching the Almighty for deliverance. O Lord, our God, guide us through this storm. Show us your ways, grant us the strength to confront our fears and to unite as one. May your will be done, in this hour of trial. As silence enveloped them during prayer, a profound stillness filled the tent, as if the heavens themselves hung in eager anticipation of God's response. Gradually, the stillness broke. The tent flaps stirred violently, and the sound of distant hooves thundered, echoing like the heartbeat of the earth itself. Suddenly, Judith gasped. There! In the distance! Her finger pointed outward as she rushed to the flame-lit entrance. The sight that met her eyes drew gasps from Esau and Jacob alike. Approaching them were more than mere raiders. A line of women and children trailed behind a band of warriors, their faces worn yet filled with determination. Esau's heart raced as he recognized among them a familiar face, long thought lost. My wife! He shouted, his voice cracking with emotion. The presence of his beloved, whom he had wed in secret, brought a surge of mixed emotions: joy at seeing her, and confusion over how she had ventured here amidst danger. But Rebekah felt a storm brew within her, jealousy laced with fear. Esau, do you not see? She comes amidst ruin. What if their presence draws forth greater calamity? Esau shook his head vehemently. No, mother. She carries my children, my lineage. We can blend our families, our peoples. Perhaps this danger has brought us not just threat, but an opportunity. Jacob watched, pondering the dynamics of relationships, of loyalty and love. The world is vast, yet God's plan can work in the most unexpected of ways, he remarked, struggling with conflicting emotions of joy and envy stemming from their brother's moment of reunion. As the raiders loomed closer, an unexpected silence enveloped them, and Rebekah's heart quickened with a newfound understanding. God, in his mysterious ways, had woven a tapestry of intertwining fates through their lives, each thread a divine purpose echoing toward a destiny unknown. In the thick of their gathering, the brothers stood united, waiting, as if the very air would part with revelation. Yet questions remained in the hearts of Rebekah and Jacob. What would this union usher forth? Was it truly mere survival they stood for, or the unfolding of a greater promise? As the first raider approached the camp, armed with grim determination, the family braced themselves not just for physical conflict, but for the divine revelations that lay ahead. Little did they know, God had engineered this moment to unveil truths deeper than bloodlines, to sow seeds of redemption that would ripple through generations yet unseen. As the figures drew nearer, the tension coiled tighter within the hearts of Esau's family, and the fiery glow of the torches flickered like uncertain hope. The warriors, strong and resolute, bore a banner that bore witness to their kinship with the very God that had shepherded Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. The first among them, a man of stature, dismounted and strode forward with a commanding presence, his eyes scanning the circle of family, until they settled on Esau. Esau, son of Isaac, I come as a messenger of peace, the man declared, his voice booming yet steady. I am Nahor, a servant of the king of the land of Canaan, and I bring news from afar. The Lord has heard your cries. A collective breath stilled the air, enraptured by the revelation. In that moment, Judith stepped forward, emboldened by the divine spirit that had moved within her. What news do you bring? Our family stands on a precipice of despair, beset by enemies unknown. Nahor paused, considering the weight of the moment, and then continued, your peril has not gone unnoticed. The Lord your God has constrained the hearts of the adversaries that come against you. They seek not to destroy but to test your faith and reveal your true selves. Stand firm. For I have come to lead you to a place of refuge, your prayers have not been in vain. Rebekah's heart raced, torn between fear and faith. If you speak the truth, then how shall we prevail? What if we are led into deeper trials? It is not for you to know the depths of his wisdom, Nahor replied with conviction. Only trust in his ways. Release your fear and embrace the bonds of unity. Jacob, whose heart had been heavy with doubt, now felt the flicker of faith stirring in his spirit. Shall we then move towards this refuge? Are we to welcome these women and children into our fold? Indeed, Nahor replied, nodding toward the approaching group. For in unity, strength flourishes, and the divine will work through the intertwining of your generations. Esau's gaze lingered upon his wife, who approached alongside their children, each step a testament to love overcoming despair. With weary yet determined eyes, he held her gaze and beckoned her forth. Come, my beloved, let us stand together as one people. Judith exhaled deeply, feeling the hand of providence in her heart's yearning. Thus, our God has opened the door to salvation we did not see, weaving us with strands of new kinship. Rebekah's thoughts spun in conflict, jealousy churned within her alongside the tide of understanding. Will this bond bring the harmony we seek, or do new shadows loom amongst this gathering? Yet as she observed Esau's radiant countenance, something began to illuminate her spirit. This was not merely about fear, but the palpable essence of God weaving new beginnings. Perhaps our Father has orchestrated this moment, granting us an unexpected grace. As the families connected in a bond born from the harrowing storm, the air thickened with anticipation. The warriors recounted tales of providence, declaring how God had stirred their hearts to search for Esau, believing them to be lost before an impending darkness. Just then, an extraordinary hush fell upon the assembly. It was as if heaven was leaning closer, and each pulse of expectation reverberated within the very fabric of existence, binding them in the presence of divine orchestration. Suddenly, the heavens broke the silence with thunderous applause, a sign that the Almighty was attentive, stirring the winds of providence. The earth responded beneath their feet with a quaking reassurance, as though the world itself awaited the fulfillment of a prophecy whispered long ago. As bonds were forged beneath the tapestry of night, Rebekah whispered a prayerful resolve into the silence, "Lord, mold our hearts anew for your will. We stand united, bend us to your purpose." Yet, amid the growing joy, an unsettling thought whispered within her: what incomprehensible designs did God truly have for their family? As the community grew and strength gathered, the unrelenting truth remained beyond this moment of connection. There lay an even greater covenant revealed. For in the echoing darkness, hope loomed large, waiting for the right moment to shine. The destiny woven by God's hand was only beginning to unfold, and the question lingered: what legacy of faith would be born from their trials? As the night enveloped them beneath a canopy of stars, the air still hummed with the divine tension that had ignited their hearts. Nahor, standing resolute, began to instruct the families assembled. "Go forth into the land which the Lord has promised to your forefathers, for he has prepared a way before you, a pathway to deliverance from your foes." The murmurs of the crowd trembled with reverent anticipation. Esau, longing to embrace the promise of protection, rallied his kin. "Let us heed this call. We shall not falter, for our faith is our shield." He glanced at his wife, whose presence clung to him like the very fabric of his being. Judith clasped her hands tightly, her heart a mixture of hope and dread. But what if the deliverance comes with a cost? What if the path is fraught with further dangers? Even so, Nahor intoned, his voice steady like iron, "Trust that in the trials, you shall shine forth as gold, purified by the fire." The firelight danced against their faces, casting flickering shadows that spoke of past memories and future promises. Rebekah, standing apart, felt the weight of her own thoughts pressing heavily upon her. Trepidation gripped her spirit as she recollected the words of the Lord spoken to her in the stillness of night: "2 nations are in your womb, and 2 peoples will be separated from your body." Genesis 25 verse 23. Would this journey unveil the truth behind her son Jacob's destiny and Esau's? What designs did the Lord hold for them all? As the families began to assemble their belongings, Nahor turned to Esau and said, "You must lead them now, the Lord's favor is upon you." His words dripped with prophetic implications that stirred Esau's heart as he gazed into the eyes of each member. Rebekah took a step forward. "Esau, wait," she called out, her voice trembling. "There lies a mystery among us yet unspoken. I feel it deep within. This journey may unveil not only God's mercy but also our deepest fears." "Speak then, sister," Esau urged, his brow furrowed with concern. "What burden weighs upon you? What if new families join us, mingling in our essence?" she asked, her voice tightening. "Will we not lose ourselves in the blend of these new lives? Who shall be known as our own?" Nahor interjected, "In every union, there is potential for both discord and harmony. Trust that what God has woven will not unravel. Every new thread will enrich your tapestry, leading you toward a legacy of His glory." At that moment, a shadow flickered at the edge of their gathering. A woman approached, her silhouette poised against the glow of the torches. She held herself with the dignity of one who had known both struggle and triumph. "I am Talia," she proclaimed, "a descendant of Nahor, and I too seek refuge among you. My kin were lost in the conquest of the lands, and I come now in faith to unite our people against the adversary." A quiet murmur rippled through the crowd. Rebekah clenched her jaw, an unsettling sensation stirring within her. What does this mean for us? Her heart raced as the fragments of prophecy whispered into her soul. As Talia stepped into the circle, she locked eyes with Jacob, whose gaze burned with curiosity. In that instant, all tension centered upon the emerging bond, and destiny echoed in the space between their breaths. The earth seemed to hold its breath, waiting for the revelation to unfold, the harmony mingling with misunderstandings, hope against fear. Rebekah clenched her fists, unable to fathom the course the Lord had set before them. The families began their preparations, the echoes of conversations melding like the threads of a rich tapestry. Yet as joy blossomed among them, lingering questions still hung in the twilight, urging for clarity. Would these new alliances foster strength or induce strife? As Jacob and Talia shared their plans for the road ahead, Rebekah's heart remained troubled. The darkest shadows stirred within her, whispering of betrayals yet to come and the trials this journey might unveil. But amid the uncertainties, the promise remained, "For I know the plans I have for you," declares the Lord, "plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future," Jeremiah 29 verse 11. Yet, what she did not fully understand was how that future would intertwine their lives in ways she could not yet perceive. What incredible transformation would emerge from this divine conflict of hearts? Would they embrace the revelation of their covenant, or would fear lead them down a path of loss? Only time would uncover the plan the Almighty had in store. As dawn broke across the eastern horizon, an ethereal light bathed the encampment, illuminating faces mingling with hope and uncertainty. The families, their hearts bound by the flickering firelight of the previous night, began to stir, preparing for their long journey ahead. The air was filled with talk of the tasks at hand, but beneath the surface, unseen tensions lay in wait. Esau, invigorated by Nahor's blessing, gathered his kin, delivering an encouraging call. "Let us rise. The Lord has called us, and we shall walk in his ways, fortified by faith." His voice, like thunder over the hills, rallied the hearts of his brothers and sisters, each one yearning for the inheritance promised to their ancestors. Rebekah, however, could not shake the ominous grip that had entwined her heart. She watched Esau with a mixture of admiration and apprehension, thoughts of impending trials swirling in her mind. The memory of the prophecy weighed heavily, "And the older shall serve the younger," Genesis 25 verse 23. Was this the path toward that divine truth, or would it unveil a deeper sorrow? As the families began to march, forming a line that threaded between the hills, Rebekah's gaze focused on the distance. Her thoughts flickered like the light of the sun rising above the mountains. Talia walked near Jacob, their shared laughter seeming to echo like the joyous songs of old. Would this new bond bring favor, or fracture the delicate fabric of their lives? While the procession moved steadily, a sudden stillness seized the air. From behind a thicket emerged an elder woman, her skin wrinkled yet dignified, clutching a tattered garment, a remnant of the past. The families halted, eyes wide with curiosity at her unexpected appearance. "I am Miriam," she called, her voice a resonant echo through the valley. "A servant of the Lord, I bring news, a destiny entwined with yours." Gasps resonated among the crowd, and Rebekah's heart quickened with unease. Parents drew their children close, eyes flickering with both concern and interest. Nahor stepped forward, his face set with authority. "Speak, woman. What revelation doth thou bear? The Lord has seen your plight, and he desires to remind you of the covenant he made with your forefather Abraham," Miriam replied with fervor. "But heed this warning: unfaithfulness breeds division. The house of Jacob shall flourish, yet trials shall seep even into your midst." The words struck like arrows, piercing deeply. Rebekah's thoughts spiraled. Did she sense dissonance within her family? The thought echoed back to her, reverberating through the chambers of her soul. As if reading her heart, Miriam continued, "There are those among you whose fates have yet to be revealed. Watch closely, you may yet discover hidden alliances." With that statement, something fell into place within Rebekah's heart. It was as if Miriam had plucked a cord, resonating with her innermost fears and curiosities. What hidden truths were entwined in their families, perhaps even now, hidden from their sight? Jacob, sensing the unsettled energy, turned to Rebekah, his eyes questioning. "Mother, what plagues your heart?" "Talia's arrival stirs questions within me," she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. "Though her presence may be refreshing, it also brings uncertainty. What if another path unfolds that neither Esau nor I alone foresee? Esau, overhearing their exchange, planted his hands firmly on his hips. Let us not cower before uncertainties, he declared, fierce resolve in his voice. We shall trust the Lord's providence, each step taken shall reveal his path. Yet in the depths of Rebekah's heart, an unsettling intuition welled forth, mounting an insistent plea. Miriam's words echoed in the silence, watch closely. As the sun ascended and painted the world in hues of gold, the families resumed their march. Tension lingered in the air like an unsung melody, weaving among them, hidden and sharp. As night began to blanket the land once more, the campfires once again illuminated the faces. The assembly circled around a central flame, stories exchanged. Laughter like fragile glass. But Rebekah's heart remained troubled, holding tightly to the promise that echoed from the shadows of these gatherings, for I know the plans I have for you. Yet what she did not yet perceive was how her beloved son Jacob's life would intersect with the woman who had now woven herself into their tapestry of destiny. What sacrifices might lie ahead? The corners of God's sovereign plan were still hidden from her, shrouded in mystery, waiting to unfold with divine precision, intertwining pain and promise in ways only he could foresee. And so it was, as the fires crackled and the warm embers danced into the night sky, that words of longing and fear filled the hearts of those gathered. Among them, Rebekah could not escape the echoes of Miriam's warning. What alliances lay hidden? What treachery threatened their fragile unity? She felt the weight of destiny pressing upon her, urging her to seek answers that remained just out of reach. The evening air buzzed with questions, and as the stars unveiled themselves like a tapestry of divine wisdom, Jacob, troubled and contemplative, drew close to his father Isaac. "Father," he murmured, "the path ahead is fraught with uncertainty. What shall we do to ensure the Lord's blessing abides upon our journey?" Isaac, wise and gentle, regarded his son with tender eyes. "My son, the Lord's hand shall guide us, as he did with our forefathers. We must remain steadfast, guarding our hearts against deceit and divisions." His words wrapped around Jacob like a comforting mantle, yet the unease lingered deep within their circle. The elder woman, Miriam, was not yet finished with her revelations. Sensing the collective trepidation, she raised her voice, calling out once more, "Folk of the covenant, though trials will abound, the Lord has placed among you one whose heart carries a burden of love, the wife of Esau. Hidden she is, and yet great are the plans the Lord has for her, intertwined with your own." Esau stepped forth, brow furrowed, and asked, "What wife speakest thou of, Miriam? For I am wed to Judith, the daughter of Beri the Hittite. Is there more to my story than I have known?" Miriam's eyes held a depth that commanded attention. "Ah, Esau, the heritage of your house is marked by love and conflict. The wife whom you have forgotten, her name is Mahalath. In your past, you chose Judith, yet Mahalath too sought your heart. Her cry ascended before the Lord, her faith will resonate and echo in the days ahead." Rebekah gasped. The shadow of this revelation loomed large, entwining with her own fears. "Foretell us, O servant of the Lord, how do we reconcile this forgotten bond?" she implored, her voice trembling. "Behold," Miriam continued, "the Lord desires to weave the hearts estranged into a tapestry of harmony, but only if you heed his word. For the clash of families may come, and one shall strive against another. Yet, trust and faithfulness shall lead you through storm to calm." As the word settled, profound silence enveloped the gathering. Whispers flitted among the kin, heads turned, weighing the gravity of what was revealed. A heaviness pressed against Rebekah, heart racing as she pondered the implications. Would Jacob's path intersect with Mahalath's? What sacrifices lie ahead, as the fates of both women were now bound in the weaving of divine purpose? With eyes aflame with passion, Esau exclaimed, "Shall I seek her out? Can peace be restored?" But Rachel, the wife of Jacob, cut in, piercing the tension with urgency, "Seek not the past, for the Lord builds the future upon the present placed in his care." Yet, on the echo of that truth lingered the unaddressed shadow. What would this mean for Esau? What trials would they endure to right the wrongs of forgotten love? Rebekah's heart wept quietly. The names of these women crisscrossed across her thoughts. There lay the hope of unity mingled with the foreboding of discord. In the quiet recesses of the night, she clutched her chest, wrestling with the myriad questions keen upon her spirit. In that moment, while the camp swirled with discussions and wonderment, Rebekah felt an inkling unfurl within her. Could Mahalath be the key to unlocking the family tensions that threatened to break them all apart? For deep below the surface of their story lay the divine mystery that even now awaited revelation. As the stars shone above like scattered seeds of promise, it became clear that the binding of these lives was part of a greater plan, one that would unfold in ways far beyond their comprehension. The winds of heaven whispered gently, beckoning toward a truth they might yet discover. The time was coming when the enduring conflict would give way to reconciliation, revealing God's mastery over every heart and every timeline. And it came to pass that the night deepened, and faint glimmers of dawn echoed on the horizon, a promise of newfound clarity. Jacob, restless and aching with anticipation, sought solace apart from the murmurs of his kin. He knew the burdens of legacy weighed heavily on him, and the revelation of Mahalath had opened the door to uncharted paths. As he walked amidst the solemn silence of the encampment, he knelt by the riverbank, allowing cool waters to lap at his hands. "O God of my father Abraham, God of my father Isaac," he cried out, "reveal unto me your heart. Shall I be a catalyst of healing, or a harbinger of strife? Your plans loom before me like the mighty mountains, shrouded in mist. What shall I do?" In that moment, as the sun's first rays broke upon the land, a gentle breeze stirred the leaves above, sweeping through the branches as if carrying a message from the Almighty. Meanwhile, back within the assembly, murmurs of unease flickered as Rebekah summoned the courage to speak. "Our hearts are torn, and yet there lies a path through the tempest," she declared, her voice rising above the din. "If Mahalath be the key, then let us not falter in seeking her. For perhaps, in this quest, we shall find reconciliation, not only for Esau but for all of us." Esau's brow furrowed further, wrestling between wisdom and a longing for resolution. "But how would I seek her, when the shadows of my past haunt me?" he confessed. "Shall I seek the counsel of my father? Or is it the will of the Lord that I traverse alone?" Miriam, absorbing the tension in the air, spoke once more, her voice resonating with authority. "You must go with a heart willing to forsake pride, and seek her in humility. The Lord delights in the contrite spirit, and to mend bridges requires courage." Jacob returned from the riverbank, stirred by the unfolding dialogue. "Esau, allow me to accompany you on this journey. For as brothers, the bond of blood and spirit must not remain severed. Together, let us find Mahalath and usher forth the dawn of healing." The crowd, witnessing the mutual pledge between brothers, held its breath. Would this be a turning point for their fractured family? Would the quest for Mahalath unveil the hidden purposes of the Almighty? And then, with fervor igniting within him, Esau nodded. "Then we shall depart at first light. But let me place my trust in the hands of God, for my heart wrestles with the choices I have made." As they prepared for the journey ahead, a mantle of anticipation enveloped the camp. Each member felt the stirring of destiny in the air, a sign that the ancient covenant was near to fulfillment. Yet, unbeknownst to them, hidden within the tapestry of their stories, the heart of Mahalath throbbed fiercely. In a distant land she dwelled, a heart longing for the love of Esau, echoing the prayers of her forebears. Unbeknownst to the brothers, she too was contending in her spirit, yearning to walk in faith and reclaim the love once cast aside. As daybreak light began to illuminate the camp, silence transformed into a wave of resolve. The Lord's presence wafted like sweet incense through the air, and all eyes turned skyward, seeking a sign of his favor. With determination stealing their hearts, Jacob and Esau set forth toward the horizon, unaware that their actions would lay bare the hands of providence, intertwining their fates with Mahalath in ways yet unseen. And as the brothers journeyed forth, the winds of promise whispered ever vibrant in their ears, for the Lord's plan was about to unveil mysteries woven into the very fabric of their existence, a beauty of redemption and reconciliation that even now awaited them just beyond the rising sun. And so it was, in the light of dawn, that Esau and Jacob began their quest across the hills, hearts united with a fervor renewed. The shadows of their past began to abate as they moved forward, guided by faith and necessity. The sound of their footsteps echoed in the quiet, each stride symbolizing a step toward destiny, and unbeknownst to them, the hand of the Almighty was already paving their path. As they journeyed through valleys shrouded in mist and hills kissed by morning light, they clung to the hope of reconciliation, hearts ready to embrace the hidden threads of their past. Esau, burdened by memories laced with regret, glanced at Jacob, whose steadfastness emboldened him. "Brother, how shall I face Mahalath? Though I love her, my heart aches under the weight of choices made in folly." "Fear not, Esau," Jacob reassured him, "for the God we serve redeems the lost and mends what is broken. Let us approach her with humility, for he values the contrite spirit." Their words hung in the air, threaded with divine conviction, a reminder of their father's faith in God's promises. Meanwhile, unbeknownst to them, Mahalath felt the stirrings of change within her own heart, the winds of providence guiding her prayers. As she tended to her household, her spirit ignited with visions of love rekindled and forgiveness flowing like rivers. In the solitude of her home, she clung to the words of the Lord and had sought his guidance. "O God," she prayed, "sow within me strength, grant me the courage to embrace the past and be faithful to my path." It was just as Mahalath sensed the awakening of purpose that she caught sight of travelers approaching her abode. The sight inspired her hopeful heart. A sense of anticipation coursed through her, mingling fearlessly with joy. As Esau and Jacob drew closer, she was enveloped in the divine truth that each step was undergirded by the prayers whispered in the silence of night. "Is it they?" she whispered, her heart racing as she moved closer to the entrance. And in that moment, their eyes met, their spirits intertwined with promises unspoken yet alive. With a breathless gasp, she found herself longing for her beloved, forgiveness dancing on the edge of her lips. Esau stepped forward, stumbling over his own words, the regret of his past heavy upon him. "Mahalath, my heart has sought you amidst the trials of our lives. I have faltered, yet in our separation, I have realized a truth: I love you still." His voice trembled, a raw sincerity pulsing through each word. Tears welled in Mahalath's eyes as she beheld the man she had cherished. "Esau, my love, I too have felt the weight of our separation. My faith has called me forth, for I believed in a future woven by our Creator." It was in that moment of vulnerability, the air thick with grace, that the spirit of reconciliation folded over them, embracing their fallen history to reveal a divine promise that shone brightly before them. Jacob, witnessing the sacred reunion, felt a kinship deepen within, his heart surged with hope as he approached them. "Together you embody the promise of our family's legacy. You both are woven in the tapestry of our Father's covenant. Trust in the Lord and let us walk forward as one." And so, they stood united under the sun, the shadows of their history lifting away, revealing the vibrant colors of healing and hope. It wasn't merely the rekindling of love for Esau and Mahalath, it was also a gathering of hearts, the family woven tighter through trials, each binding in faith increasing their strength. As they returned homeward, the hills whispered stories of grace, and the skies rejoiced in each step. God had fulfilled his promise to Rebekah and to Isaac. The newfound family walked in alignment with divine purpose, reflecting the redemption found only in belief. Rebekah watched from the tent, tears of joy streaming down her radiant cheeks as she beheld the reunion unfold before her. The once strained cords of kinship had become resplendent, woven together like the vibrant tapestry, displaying God's providence. Her heart soared as the burdens of the past faded, whispers of peace replacing them. "Truly, my God has orchestrated a wondrous dance of redemption," she murmured to herself, enfolding her hands in prayer, gratitude flowing like rivers through her very being. In time, the multitude gathered, the family became well known, blending their lives with the joy of shared memories and love forged anew. In moments of uncertainty, they returned to each other, fortified by faith and bound through the covenant of their God, a promise fulfilled that echoed through generations. The Lord had woven a legacy of love from the ashes of discord, where even the remnants of ancient wounds transformed into a testimony of his grace. Each family member grew strong in faith while navigating the intricate path of unity, knowing they were participants in the grand design of God's redemptive work. And so it remains, where brokenness existed, God knitted together a new beginning, a glorious story of reconciliation, echoing down through the ages a reflection of His sovereign plan fulfilled. In this everlasting light, dear audience, let us remember the truth of our God's promises. If you have been touched by this tale of divine reconciliation, you need to subscribe now to stay connected to God's Word. This is the moment to help spread biblical truth, so please tap that like button now so others may feel this blessing. Comment below your reflections on this miraculous story and how it impacted your faith. Share this powerful testimony instantly with at least 5 friends who need to hear God's truth. Don't wait even one more second. Only true believers understand the importance of drawing more souls to Christ through the power of His Word.